is going on? It is your boy Sheeb the Wise, and welcome back to Vader's Lair. I hope you guys are having a fantastic start to the week. Let's get this thing going. We got a lot of big questions coming from Ahsoka Episodes 1 and 2, and here's our little preview for tomorrow for Episode 3. Let's get it going. I hope you guys are hyped. I hope you're excited for tomorrow's episode. I hope you're having a great start to the week. Let's do it. Welcome back on into the lair, one and all. I apologize if the stream gets like laggy or anything today. The lair is on fire for once. We are actually steaming a little bit with some hype for the Ahsoka show, my peoples. Cause oh man, I don't know about you guys, but those first two episodes were a freaking blast. Everything that I was hoping for as a Star Wars Rebels fan, and there is a whole lot to pick from it and to talk about and to go through today with some big questions. Because yes, a lot of our big questions were answered in these episodes, and it seems like even more questions were brought to the surface. So if you guys have any big questions that you want to like answered, or just to put out there into the Star Wars fandom, into this little galaxy that we love to visit, then make sure to throw it into the chat or put it in there as a super chat. All proceeds during the SAG and WGA strikes are going to be going towards funds of those strikes, basically, or for the writers and actors. So without further ado, shout out to the writers and actors going on strike still. Let's talk about some Ahsoka, and let's dive in to the biggest questions. And the one that's been really on my brain for almost the past week now, since we saw these first two episodes, is really what's going on with this pathway to Peridia. I've seen the episodes like 5 times now. You know what I mean? Like I've been watching them on replay. They've been so freaking good to watch in the background, man. But the biggest thing to me that stood out, and I see y'all in the chat. Much love to you guys. Thank you all for hanging out with us here. The biggest questions that I got involved the pathway to Peridia, and that just like came back to me like, dang, this moment seems super important. And if you guys don't remember what I'm talking about, in episode 2, there's a scene where on Cetos, that you know, the planet that Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll end up going to and bringing the little orb after Shin stabs Sabine in the stomach, right? They bring that orb to Cetos, to this like Dathomirian shrine, or I guess it wasn't even built by the Dathomirians or by the Night Sisters, and it definitely wasn't built by the Jedi, as Baylan even put out there. It was built by creatures from another galaxy, which the pathway to Peridia is that. It's the pathway to this new galaxy in the Star Wars universe that we've yet to visit, and it really brings so many questions and, like, you know, really story ideas to the surface. It's like, oh man, what is Dave cooking here with this pathway to Peridia thing and with this new galaxy? Now, I will say real quick, sorry to the microphone, I'm punching it right now, I'm so hyped. The end scene end of episode 2, where Baylan is talking through this, like, I don't know, hologram or like Night Sister hologram. I don't know what's going on, but he's talking to Morgan Elsbeth, and in that same ship that she's in, which is the big like hyperspace ring, I guess you could say, the Eye of Sion is what it's called in the episode. She's standing in that, and in the trailers it looks like we see Thrawn like walking into that. So I've got a feeling that this next episode we're gonna be going to this new galaxy. We're going, like, I think we're already, like, episode 3, halfway through the show almost. We're going to be going to this new galaxy, and I think it's going to be like, you know, that fight we see with Ahsoka and Baylan in the trailers. I think that's going to be going down with the map around them. I don't know if that's going to be taking place on Cetos before they get there, or, you know, what's going to lead to that. but it gets me super intrigued. It does look like we're gonna go back to Morgan Elsbeth's original like planet. I forget what it's called now, but we see it in The Mandalorian season 2 where Ahsoka's like in the mist and like chopping people up, and there's all these woods kind of areas. I think we might be going back to that planet, and we could get another like fight between Ahsoka and then Merrick at some point too. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going way off the track here. But the biggest things again that I'm freaking out about is this new galaxy and the pathway to Peridia, as it was called by Baylan. And something I want to note here is the fact that Baylan actually talks about how the pathway to Peridia, or this pathway to a different galaxy, is something that seemingly was a Jedi legend, or the Padawans at the time that he was at the temple were talking about this thing. It was like a legend within them that was kind of being spread through the temple, it sounds like. And if you really think about the age of Baylan Skoll, and the fact that in the trailers it seems like he knew of Anakin, talking to Ahsoka at one point, he still seems sentimental, maybe, as Morgan Elsbeth said at the end of episode 2. It seems like he still has a little bit of Jedi or a little bit of good inside him. And the fact that he would have grown up in the temple around the same time as Anakin, maybe even a few years older than Ahsoka, because really the age difference between Anakin and Ahsoka is not that different. They're pretty close in age, actually, but like within like 5 years, you know what I mean? So maybe Baylan's only like 4 or 5 years older than Ahsoka, maybe 10 at the most, which means he would have grown up or been in the temple around the same time as her. And maybe Ahsoka's even heard of these legends of the pathway to Peridia as well. And not only that, what if a lot of the other younglings or Jedi at some point have heard of this pathway to Peridia? It's not something that I know exists in any of the like High Republic stuff or any of the other known material that we've heard of. It's a new concept, this pathway to Peridia, and an unknown galaxy, a new galaxy. In fact, a bunch of people were putting up the Star Wars galaxy, like the main galaxy that we know, up on Twitter, and just like the full map of all the planets within the galaxy, which there's a ton of maps in this Star Wars galaxy. Or like a ton of planets, you know what I mean? Like, it is a big place. And even this little section is the unknown regions, which is really what we don't know too much about. That's where the Chiss space is, where Thrawn and his people are originally from, and a lot of this other stuff that we really don't know. And then there's this whole other galaxy that Dave Filoni just apparently came up with, or is now a part of the story. And there's these creatures that are apparently from this other galaxy that built this shrine that they're at. It gets me going, whoa, okay, who could these people be? What's going to be over in that other galaxy? Obviously, Thrawn, being a dude that studies art and knows his enemies through art and through their culture and everything, he's going to kind of thrive no matter where he gets blasted off to. And I bet you he's probably having a good old time looking at all this new artifacts in an entirely different galaxy, thriving, you know what I mean? Heck, Ezra might even be working alongside him at this point, or having to, being in an entirely new place, you know what I mean? He might have to rely on Thrawn. But it gets me wondering who or what is on the other side of this pathway to Peridia. What is over there in this other galaxy? Whose galaxy is it? What's going on in this galaxy? And it gets me wondering if there could be Jedi in this other galaxy. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, what if there's Jedi in this other galaxy? It was already, said by Baylan in that the second episode, that it was something that was spread through the Jedi Temple. The pathway to Peridia was like a legend told to the Jedi younglings, or told to the Jedi. So what if some of them figured out this pathway? What if some of them followed the Purgle, seeing them as Force-sensitive creatures, and ended up going off to this new galaxy way before our favorite characters even figured it out, you know what I mean, or knew what this pathway to Peridia was? And, what if there is this entirely different Jedi Order that maybe is still thriving or still around in this new galaxy? And obviously Ahsoka and Sabine could end up going there. It seems like we're gonna meet up with some Purgles probably in the next couple of episodes, and I feel like we're gonna end up going to this new galaxy, whether it's through the Eye of Sion, through the Purgles, however we end up getting there. I think we're going there. And I think, honestly, it's a way for Dave Filoni to kind of create a whole bunch of new stories, and for Star Wars to kind of thrive and continue with stories. I mean, obviously, Star Wars is probably never going to go full, like, multiverse, you know what I mean? But the fact that we're exploring new parts of the universe that we haven't yet, like, universes are kind of ever expanding. There might not be a multiverse, but there's a whole ton of different galaxies out there that have their own lore and histories that we don't know anything about. Like, that's pretty freaking cool to me. I don't know about you guys. Convenient? I don't know, man. I think it's a cool ass story idea and a way to kind of create new stories. And as far as convenient, I don't think it's convenient at all. I think it's perfect the way that Dave Filoni has set up these stories, with the way that Thrawn and Ezra's stories ended up going. The fact that Thrawn is a character that literally thrives off of reading other people's cultures and arts. Like, I don't think that's convenient. I think that's brilliant storytelling. Skywalker's Academy says we don't encourage the younglings to talk about the pathway to Peridia, but Jocasta keeps telling them these stories. For real, what is Jocasta new doing? No, I'm just playing. Stanley says Balin gives me Dooku vibes. Dude, for real though, me too. I gotta say, it's cool to see someone that's kind of like that, you know. I mean, he's definitely darker, has some sentimental times from his time in the Jedi Order, and is a little bit older and wiser in his own ways, and thinks that there's probably a reason that they ended. Who knows? The mystique behind him, or the mysteriousness behind him, is also a big driver of the character, and I think that it's so cool to see characters like Shin and Balin who aren't quite Sith at all, but they're definitely not Jedi either. It's cool to see something like that, some Force users who are more mercenaries almost than anything. Don Cotterman says this could explain why some of our favorite characters are in the sequels don't need to be in the original trilogy galaxy. Yeah, exactly though. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting to it too, is like, this could explain where Ahsoka and maybe some of our other favorite characters went, or what kind of was going on with them, and why they're not in the sequels, why the sequels are not this, you know what I mean? Cubello says, so like a parallel story at the same time as the original trilogy. I don't think it's the same time as the original trilogy, but there could be other stories that were happening during this original trilogy time period, or happening before this in this other galaxy, that kind of lead up to or mix with whatever's going on with Ahsoka and Thrawn. And obviously Thrawn and Ezra were already in this new galaxy during the original trilogy. Like, from the very beginning of the original trilogy, before we even 1997 or 1977 even came out and we saw A New Hope, you know. Before any of that happened, Ezra and Thrawn blasted off to this new galaxy with the Purgle, most likely. So, I mean, yeah, they would probably have to use the whales. You're sounding like a separatist. I'm dead. I've never heard of it in any Legends material. Yeah, the pathway to Peridia seems like it is a new concept altogether, and I am here for it. I will say though, it seems like the Grisk also are people that might hail from a different universe. They you know, in the Thrawn novels, there's these creatures called the Grisk who are basically enemies, or, you know, adversaries of the Chiss and of Thrawn. And he's basically trying to defend his people all this time, and it's why he joined the Empire. He's trying to defend his people from these Grisk, or from the Grisk. And the Grisk are people that are trying to take over the universe. Not just the galaxy, but the entire universe, I think. So, it's possible the Grisk have already taken over an entire galaxy, and that's maybe even the galaxy that Ezra and Thrawn went to, was this Grisk ruled and controlled galaxy, similar to what we see with the Empire ruling the galaxy that we knew. And it's possible that that's kind of where it's going. I mean, in Legends and in the EU continuity, I believe it is the Yuzan Vong, who are potentially from another galaxy. So this is kind of stuff that's been touched on, or at least trickled in to Legends material, but it's the first time we've heard of like a new galaxy or exploring a new galaxy in the canon timeline or in the canon kind of setup that we have. Sabersmith, what's up, my dude? It's good to see you in the chat. He says, I hope Hera and Chopper meet up with them. We need that team. Yes, we do. We do. We need the whole dang Rebels crew going out there into this new galaxy. I don't know why they wouldn't. I feel like they would definitely want to join in on the hunt for Ezra or going to find him in this new galaxy. Maybe though. Maybe. It's possible that Morgan Elsbeth brings this Eye of Sion hyperspace ring to wherever Thrawn is. And the reason it's so big is because it's going to bring the whole Chimera and all of Thrawn's men and crew in back to the main galaxy, which would be really cool also. It would be cool to see something like that happen. And this giant, I mean, the Eye of Sion's cool, you know what I mean? Like, this is a giant hyperspace ring. There's no way you're getting from one galaxy to the other without that kind of, 9 hyperspace drives, whatever it was. The Yuuzhan Vong were always lurking on the edge of the original trilogy galaxy, even in the High Republic era. Damn. I don't know if it's the same for canon. As far as I know, the Yuuzhan Vong aren't in canon, although Dave Filoni did have thoughts of bringing them in the Clone Wars at one point, or tying them in. But they were never brought into canon yet, and in fact, I would say the Grisk are more like the canonized version of the Yuuzhan Vong. So maybe the Grisk is out there waiting still, and they're just like, whew, we're gonna get this galaxy. You know what I mean? Ben, what up? Welcome into the chat, my dude. I hope you're doing good, and I hope you're excited for episode 3 tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer or speculate on them responsibly. We might get a little unresponsible, though, as well. I mean, I always like to have some fun speculation. Hey, what up, Star Wars Obsession? Saw you a little bit ago. Deborah Young, welcome into the chat. I hope you're doing well. Darth Maximus, Stanley's, everybody that's been in here. I hope you're all having a fantastic start to the week. Let's get it going. Sabersmith says, Baylan is so interesting. I want more of his story. Fascinating new character. He really, really is, man. So far, it's been very intriguing to kind of touch with him. I love the fact that Huyang was brought into this, the lightsaber creating droid, or, the building droid. I love him, man. I love that they brought him back as an addition to this and with David Tennant. I think it's so cool that we got that little sequence of him talking about Baylan and how he was with him when he constructed that saber. He likely helped him construct that saber. And then, of course, Shin's was not in his databanks. But I love that, man. I love the fact that Baylan is being shown to be a Jedi of the past. And it'll be really interesting when him and Ahsoka really start chatting it up. He's going to definitely bring up Anakin, as we've seen in the trailers and everything, too. So whenever that conversation goes down, it's about to be a fun time. It's about to be a dang good freaking time. And, that's, again, the reason that Baylan's so dang intriguing so far is because we're like, I need to know more about this guy. He clearly isn't fully in the dark, but he ain't doing no good either. Baylan is a great new character. So heartbreaking. It is, man. I love this new character. And rest in peace to his actor, Ray Stevenson, who passed tragically, man. It really, really sucks that we're likely not getting more of this character. It'll be interesting to see what ends up becoming of the character and whether or not he survives this first season. I don't know, man. I hope he does, obviously, but then, like, you can't really tell too many stories with his characters going forward, so... I mean, you could always recast, but I feel like they probably won't because of Ray, and again, rest in peace to him. Andre, welcome into the chat. He says, what do you think is more likely to find in the new galaxy, the Vong or the Rakata? Dude, the Rakata would be dope. There's been a lot of little trinkles of the Rakata as of late. Whether it was that little lightsaber crystal or the Kyber crystal that we saw in Andor, totally had some callbacks to the Rakatan Empire. There's been a lot of stuff. There's actually been a lot of little Easter eggs of that. I would love that. I would love it. That's the cool thing too, is You could almost do all three of these. Like, if Dave really wanted to, like, the Rakata could be an adversary out there still in their own form or fashion. The Yuzon Vong could be. And then you could, of course, bring in the Grisk and have that be what Thrawn's trying to deal with. And maybe he's already figured out all three of these things are going on. Like, that would be pretty freaking wild, Andre. What's more likely? It's the most likely, in my opinion, is the Grisk, because that was already set up in the Thrawn novels. Dave Filoni is working with Zahn, Timothy Zahn, the author who created, the guy that created Thrawn. You know what I mean? The author that also created the Grisk in canon, and it is a canon story. I definitely think the Grisk are the most likely. The Vong are definitely possible though too, and then of course with the Rakatan Empire being trickled lately, I feel like we could get stories with them in the future, but I don't know if it's gonna be yet. In fact, I almost feel like the Rakatan Empire could be something that was like in the past and already kind of happened. The Yuzon Vong or potentially the Grisk, that's something that would probably yet to be. You know what I mean? That's probably something that's coming. Yo, welcome in, Smalls. It's good to see you in the chat, my dude. Dawn says yes, the Rakata lurks out there too, ancient, supposedly extinct. But, and there you go. That is the thing with the Rakatans, is that yeah, like I said, that's likely something that happened in the past. But they could still be out there. Who knows? Who knows? On that topic though, and the fact that we're talking about this new galaxy, another creature or, you know, civilization, I guess, that could be in this new beyond or this new galaxy is the basically the civilization that we learned of in the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order games, the Zepho. The Zepho are force sensitive beings that kind of just disappeared off the face of the galaxy, which is super fascinating. And basically the master of Sir Junda, I'm trying to freaking remember his name. I can't remember his name right now. I'm sure you guys will tell me in the chat. The master of Sir Junda was out there looking for the Zepho, and he ended up being alive, as we found out in Jedi Survivor. And even though, spoiler alert, he ended up meeting his fate, Eno Cordova, I just remembered. Thank you, Stanleys. Didn't Eno Cordova say the Zepho had disappeared, not extinct? Exactly. So that's the whole point here. Is Eno Cordova spent years and years and years. Stay with me here, camera. He spent years trying to find the Zepho, and he couldn't. They just, like, vanished. Well, what if they... I mean, it seems like force-wielding beings or civilizations have the ability to potentially, as we know Skywalkers can, like in the Chiss culture, like they use these force sensitive little girls called Skywalkers to navigate through hyperspace in the unknown regions, because there's no like computer charted routes basically to make sure that they don't end up flying into supernovas or suns or, you know, dangerous stuff. And so there's no like charted maps out in the unknown regions or probably to new galaxies. So you would likely have to use the Force. And the Zepho, being force sensitive creatures or a force sensitive civilization, could have followed the Purgle or could have followed some sort of creatures or something to this new galaxy. And heck, the Zepho could even be the ones that built the pillars that Morgan Elsbeth and Shin Hati and Balin Skull were using at Cetos this past episode. Hey, it's definitely good to see everybody here, and much love to y'all hanging out in the chat. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. We do a whole bunch of Star Wars content. We're going to have a fun time tomorrow watching the Ahsoka show together. We're probably going to start up our watch party early since we're doing our preview here today. We're just going to hang out, talk about the episode, get some hype going. Thank you all for being here, though. Oliveira? I hate myself. I probably butchered the hell out of that. Andre says, was thinking about the Zepho. They're kind of the light side version of the Rakata. Wouldn't be surprised if the first war in the galaxy was between these two. Dude, that would be a really, really cool freaking idea, man. I'm with you. The Zepho are definitely an ancient civilization too, and it's possible they even could have used the pathway to Peridia to get to this new galaxy, or a different galaxy, to get away from the Rakatan Empire even. That would be a wild idea. Heck, who knows? Like, the fact that we already are bringing one galaxy into the Star Wars universe, and there's this whole, like, star chart map thing. I'm like, dude, how many other galaxies and planets and, you know, like, how vast is this universe of Star Wars? Like, we literally, I feel like we're just scratching the surface now. Let's see. Stanley says, I read that one. Yeah, Eno Cordova definitely said that the Zepho had disappeared, I believe. As far as he knew, you know what I mean? It wasn't any signs of them being destroyed. Homie Wanna Homie, aka Beskar Batman, good to see you in the chat. He says, do you think we're gonna hitch a ride on a Purgle at some point? Yes. I do. I don't know how it's gonna exactly go down, but the fact that we've seen so much Purgles so far, heck, at the beginning of episode 2, right before the whole pathway to Peridia thing, when we see Balin, he's even like sensing the Purgle. I'm like, yo, he can hear him. And then we got the tease of Grogu talking to the Purgle or in Mando season 3, or, you know, sensing the Purgle at least. I definitely think we're gonna get some Purgle and maybe hitch a ride, maybe even as soon as episode 3 tomorrow. And there's already been some stuff in the trailers of them seeing some Purgle. It looks like it might even be on Cetos, which at the end of episode 2, Ahsoka and Sabine were going off to Cetos to go find Morgan Elsbeth and all of them and find the Eye of Sion and everything. So maybe we get some Purgle as soon as next week. I can imagine the bad guys basically maybe losing the orb to Ahsoka and Sabine, but then blasting off and having their kind of route to already get to the Eye of, or use the Eye of Sion basically to go get to Thrawn and to this new galaxy. And then with the orb and everything else, I could definitely see Sabine and Ahsoka and maybe some of the other Ghost crew members, but Sabine and Ahsoka most likely using the Purgle to kind of find their way to get to the other galaxy as well. Ayo! Welcome in, Coffee on Korriban. I hope you're doing well, man. I've been seeing your content pop up on my feed, man. Heck yeah, man. The hype for Ahsoka is real. Roping the Purgle, of course, Smalls. We must rope them in and use them to blast off to infinity and beyond. Andre says, never seen so much theorizing since before The Last Jedi times. I know, man. It's definitely a fun time. And that's really the time period I got full into Star Wars. Not that I wasn't back in 2008 when Clone Wars came out. And, you know, I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters when I was like 4. But yeah, the time where there was hype and theorizing is the time that's molded the fan I've become during the time before Last Jedi, and it's so cool to see all the theories and hype and the love for Star Wars during this time period again, man. It is amazing. If you wrap up and still want to talk Ahsoka, you're welcome to join the hype train. Going live in an hour. Much love, Coffee, dude. Hey, I appreciate it, my man. I definitely got to finish my Marok video that I'm working on tonight. I might be busy, but you know that I always got the hype for Star Wars. You know I would love to talk about some hype. I don't know if I'll be able to join you tonight, but hey, I appreciate it. And go check out Coffee on Korriban after this one, y'all. The hype is real. Release the Purgle. Do it. Yes, we must, Dawn. We must release them. We must take a ride to a new galaxy. So, with that whole Marok thing, that's another one of the biggest questions from episodes 1 and 2 that I have. Doesn't really have to do with Marok, or maybe it does. But, and yes, I've seen the arguments out there for this, against this, I guess I should say. For those of you that saw my big like Ahsoka preview and last prediction stream, my big prediction for this show is that Marok is Starkiller. He is Starkiller. Come on, y'all. So, at the ends of episodes 1 and 2, we only got more fuel to this fire. Apparently, in the credits, at the very ends of episodes 1 and 2, there's a little itty-bitty name that's printed down there in the bottom for voiceovers, basically, or for voice acting. It's Sam Witwer. And yes, I know. I've heard the arguments against it. I know. Sam Witwer's been in Star Wars really since 2008 with Starkiller, and he's done so much freaking voice acting work that's not just, Palpatine at one point, Starkiller, of course, Maul. Sam Witwer's done a lot. Heck, he was even one of the sand troopers, I think, in Andor when Andor got arrested. Dude, Sam Witwer for sure has been in all of Star Wars. But you think he would really just be put in the credits without him being... Come on, y'all. Come on. This is Dave Filoni we're talking about. Marok is Starkiller. I feel it in my bones. Y'all. Okay. So for anybody that has missed maybe our big prediction for this, I'm going to break it out to you the same way that I kind of do in my video I'm working on. Starkiller is a character that is like a fan favorite Legends character. He's from the Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2 video games that are now expanded lore and not canon. They are no longer canon. He was the apprentice of Darth Vader in these video games, and in the first game, he's kind of the apprentice of him. He kills his dad, long story short, brings him in to kind of continue the rule of 2, and he was also created basically at the same time as Ahsoka. Granted, at the time, I don't know if he was like non-canon straight up. I think it wasn't like exactly George Lucas's canon, and we all kind of knew that, but everybody's kind of hoped and held out hope that maybe there would be a canonized version of Starkiller one day, especially with Sam Witwer coming back in all these roles like we're talking about. So Dave Filoni has also been a fan of Starkiller, and of course with him being created around the same time as Ahsoka, both of them being apprentices of Vader, holding lightsabers in a reverse grip, and then going on to hold 2 lightsabers in a reverse grip. They're very similar characters, and both very, very cool, and have very quickly in the past, 15 years become fan favorites. Like, for real, straight up. And it's really cool, too, on the juxtaposition of one being the apprentice of Vader, and the other being the apprentice of Anakin. Now, Filoni, like I said, has been a fan of Starkiller and Galen Marek, and again, the fact his name is Galen Marek, and this character's name is Marok, that's pretty close. So, Dave Filoni was inspired by Starkiller, and maybe Inquisitors already existed in Legends. I really don't know too much about that, but Dave Filoni created the Inquisitors primarily, I think, inspired by Starkiller, who's a guy a secret apprentice to Vader that would go off hunting Jedi and killing them. That's straight up what he was. And the Inquisitors are the same thing, except the Inquisitors were puppets of Palpatine that were former Jedi for the most part, that he kind of brought in to go do his dirty work and turned them, they already had some issues with the Council or with the Jedi or whatever it was at the time, and he basically turned them on the Jedi and made them hunt the Jedi and put Vader in charge of them. Well, for those of you that know the story of the Inquisitors and know what happens to them in Star Wars Rebels, they end up, for the most part, meeting their fate. Heck, in Obi-Wan Kenobi, we meet Reva, who's another Inquisitor, who, of course, who knows what happens with her exactly. She's probably out there still somewhere. But, and maybe she's Marok, who knows? Nobody's brought that up. But the fact that Vader, like, in all the mediums we've seen and all the stuff, like, he was never, like, the one that created the Inquisitorius program or created the Inquisitors. He was kind of just put in charge of them. Most of the time, he's like, you guys are weak. You suck. I'm going to kill you anyway. He ends up torturing them or chopping off their limbs or killing a lot of them, to be honest. He really, Vader probably takes out more Inquisitors than our heroes do. For real. So, basically, I have this idea that after Obi-Wan Kenobi, when Palpatine's like, yo, this obsession you got with Kenobi and wanting to go hunt him down, it's gotta stop, fam. He's like, you gotta stop this. Vader tells him sure, and he's not gonna hunt him down anymore. But let's be honest. Vader hated Kenobi at that point, and yet he definitely lost to him in Kenobi and whatever, but I don't know if he would just cold turkey be like, yeah, I'm not going to look for this dude anymore. And the fact that Reva had failed him, all the other Inquisitors kind of sucked. They weren't quite gone at this time. What if Vader brought in his own kind of secret Inquisitor or secret Sith apprentice? And it ended up becoming this kind of Marok character. And it could explain even how he survived all of this time to where we are. Because as far as we know, all the Inquisitors died at the end of Rebels Season 2. So the fact that we have an Inquisitor here in Ahsoka already doesn't make sense. And that's why the speculation even began on Marok. Y'all want Marok to be Starkiller? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Obsession, what are you thinking, man? Let me know what y'all think. But he could definitely be, you know what I mean? Like, Marok didn't say any voice lines, so if that's your argument over it being Sam Witwer, he did grunt at one point, which is already vocal work. So, nope, says Star Wars Obsession. Nuh-uh. Nope, not I don't want. I want the Starkiller I read about, crazy bad mofo. Well, he is a crazy bad mofo, and I will say, again, Dave Filoni loved this guy. He thought about bringing Starkiller in as an Inquisitor back in Rebels, actually, which only adds more fuel to this fire. Sam Witwer himself actually even said on the topic of Starkiller coming back into canon, or, you know, being canonized one day, that if Dave Filoni were to ever do it, it would likely be a different version of the character. So it's not going to be the same old Starkiller that we know and love. It's not going to be the same Galen Marek that we love. But hey, who knows? Galen Marok could be pretty cool. And just to again end it here, this is my favorite last little point. Back in 2022 at Anaheim and Star Wars Obsession, you were here for this. I was talking to Sam Witwer when I went to go get an autograph with him, from him basically, and I asked him a couple of really important questions in my opinion, but the most important one I asked him was, do you think that Starkiller will ever come back into canon? And his answer was yes, it's possible. So, come on, man. The fact that Dave Filoni wanted to bring him in Rebels, but there was no real story for it. The fact that, you know, Sam Witwer is still easily available to play the character, and we all want it to happen anyway. The fact that they've hinted at it so much in canon, just like the Rakatan Empire, where literally we see Starkiller's armor in Andor. In some of the Kenobi concept art, you can see the name of Ram Koda. Like, there is so much evidence that Starkiller is not only potentially going to be canonized, but already could be throughout, like, sprinkled into the Star Wars universe, and we just don't even know about it yet. Yes. Scotty Hawk says Marok equals the last Inquisitor. Most likely. He definitely has the outfit. Of course, it is the Fourth Brother's outfit, but the Fourth Brother had 4 fingers, and Marok has 5. So, different guy. Darth Maximus. I hear you, Sheev. I'm saying. Boo this man. Boo. No. Yes, I will be fueled by the hatred. Send the booze into the chat. The grandest Inquisitor. Oh, yes, Marok is the grandest. If he is Starkiller, he's definitely the grandest Inquisitor. I mean, I've just had this obsession with the apprentices of Anakin and Vader going head to head too. Like, come on, it would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool. It's a different outfit too. It is a slightly different outfit from the Fourth Brothers. The other person that everybody seems to think this Marok guy could be, other than like Barriss or different things, is that it's Ezra. And I'm just gonna try to pour some water on it, but also like explain how it could be Ezra. First of all, if it doesn't really make sense for it to be Ezra, just because like, if Ezra and Thrawn did blast off to this new galaxy, how the hell did Ezra get back to just dress up and become this new Inquisitor character? That's my big question on that. But as far as how it could be, and if it could make sense, Marok in certain like Arthurian or different texts does mean a knight thought to be a werewolf. And obviously Ezra Bridger has a lot of ties into wolves. Dave Filoni is obsessed with wolves. Heck, a knight thought to be a werewolf could even be more evidence that it's Starkiller. But Ezra definitely has a lot of ties to wolves. Werewolf is essentially someone that we think is going from good to bad, turning, the moon brings out the werewolf within people that are werewolves and werewolf lore. So it definitely could make sense that Ezra is that character as well. I don't know exactly how. I heard a rumor, or like a theory at one point that somebody threw out, that maybe Morgan Elsbeth is using Night Sister magic to control him, which I don't really believe and I don't really buy, because Morgan Elsbeth seems really skeptical of Marok. Like, the first time she's talking to Balin about him, she's like, well, Marok better do his job, kind of thing, or like, make sure he stays on top of it. And he's like, he'll do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she seems super sus on him, though. You know what I mean? Starkiller, yes, please, please, you must. Dan the Man says, my main man with the master plan. You already know, she'd been working both sides from the beginning. You already know. Much love, Dan the Man. Stanley says, although could have hitched a ride back in the Purgles. Yeah, maybe Ezra did hitch a ride on the Purgles. Knew exactly where to find the Fourth Brother's suit on Malachor, because he fought him back then, and he's like, hey, look, an Inquisitor saber I can fix up in a suit. And that's what, I mean, Ezra is that guy. To add to the Ezra fuel, Ezra could totally do that. I would see him going all the way back to Malachor just to grab the suit. I mean, back in Rebels, Sabine used to constantly take stormtrooper outfits for him, and Sabine even painted up a helmet up for him. So I mean, I don't know, man. Ezra is that guy where he would go back to Malachor just to grab the Inquisitor's suit. But I don't think it's Ezra, if I'm being honest. Let me go back a little bit. Ocean Views, it's good to see you in the chat, my man. Let me see what y'all were saying about Starkiller earlier. Andre says, we all want Merrick to be Starkiller, but once that is revealed, people are going to hate that he is nerfed AF. I feel like he was always going to be nerfed AF, sort of, if he was brought into canon, and I'm okay with that. Even then, though, I don't think he's going to be as nerfed as people think. We did see only one little brief fight with him and Ahsoka, and it was more to kind of, I think, buy time for them and really to distract Ahsoka than it was about fighting Ahsoka. And he did hold his own. I mean, at one point he definitely threw the saber and was like, peace. but he definitely held his own in that little fight there, and I think he's going to be a little bit more powerful than we've already seen even. I wouldn't even be surprised if Marok, with all his mystique and, mysteriousness, even more than Balin and Shin, if he ends up being a stronger or more adversarious character than even they are. And I will say, Thrawn in the expanded lore, or in the expanded universe, in the Heir to the Empire trilogies, is kind of homies with this guy that is a Force-sensitive clone, which, again, Starkiller in the second game is a Force-sensitive clone, we think. He is a Force-sensitive clone, though. And with the fact that Wayland was brought into canon, granted, Starkiller was from, what's it called? Not Kashyyyk. Well, sort of. But he was from the other one. Gosh dang it. Why can't I think of it now? Help me out, chat, please. I don't know why I can't. The cloning facilities. What's going on with my brain? Help me out, chat. I need help right now. Palpatine, aka Verdisla. Yes, my kid. Always have been. Lobo, welcome into the chat. Ezra talks more crap than Spider-Man. I don't know about that one. Spider-Man be talking the most crap ever. Camino, thank you. Oh my god. Starkiller does come from Camino. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. And Camino was obviously destroyed in the Bad Batch, for those of you guys that have seen that show. So that would throw a little bit of a wrench into the Starkiller character and to what potentially could happen with any clones of Starkiller. We've seen people trying to make Force-sensitive clones with what was going on in Mando 3 and Giancarlo Esposito's character. But thank you, everybody. Camino. Thank you all. I don't know why I couldn't remember Camino. I freaking love Camino. Camino! Yeah. With the fact that Waylon was brought into canon, though, I feel like Waylon could even bring in other Force sensitive or other clone facility kind of stuff. Who knows if something's going to happen to it in the Bad Batch, but it's possible it's still around, and that maybe even Thrawn, who is the heir to the Empire, could be using it in some capacity, or Force sensitive beings could have been created at this time. Stanley says the OG Starkiller was born on Kashyyyk. Yeah, that's why I said kind of. The original Starkiller was born on Kashyyyk, and of course his clone was created on Kamino. And the reason I got that mixed up and why I couldn't remember it was both of them start with a K and an A, so my brain's a little silly sometimes. Brandon Trent says, what if Marok is a grown-up what? I don't know if you're trying to say Pedro. He's just a grown-up Pedro. It's the Mandalorian. The Jedi youngling from the Gathering episode. Oh, Petro. That would be interesting, man. The fact that Huyang was brought into the Ahsoka show here already, and Gunji was seen as one of the survivors of that group in the Bad Batch, I've kind of always held out hope that there could be other survivors of that the Gathering episodes of those that little youngling group. Petro being alive would be really cool. Him being Marok would be sad. It would be sad because that means something would have led him to that. You know what I mean? But that's a really cool idea, and I would love to see Petro somewhere alive potentially, but probably not. Ocean View says, I feel like they're not even ripping off legend stories, my guy. I feel like they're kind of using them to create new stories, and I'm cool with that, man. It's called inspiration, and I'm with it. I think it's a really fun way for them to kind of continue and even get people into those stories. As myself, I was never a big Legends dude. I grew up around the same time as the Clone Wars, and right alongside the prequels. So to me, I was never super into the expanded lore or into the Legends continuity as it is. And them kind of recreating some of the stories or repurposing them for little episodes or different things, scenes even. It's cool as hell, man. I think it's like a way to honor them and also get people to be intrigued by them and go check them out potentially, or to learn more about them, because that's part of the fun of Star Wars. It is an ever expanding universe, and you get to kind of experience stuff that was in Legends at one point, but now it's kind of brought in a new way in canon, and I think that's really cool. Makes the universe feel alive. Dan the Man says Pedro might be Thrawn's new Golden Guardian. To the hype! I'm so dead. Star Wars MCU OG, it's good to see you in the chat, my man. He says, does anyone know the runtime of the third episode? That's all I want to know going in. I don't think we know yet. As far as I know, all the episodes should be within like 45 minutes to an hour in length. So expect around there. That's what I'm thinking that third episode will be. I don't know the runtime yet. If I do find out that information tomorrow, I'll let you guys know. Oh my goodness. I'll let you guys know. What up, Gunslinger? Long time no see, man. I definitely owe you still, my dude, but it is good to see you in the chat, and much love. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're excited for Ahsoka Episode 3. Aaron Tomato says, oh, I read that one. Star Wars Obsession says, how did Gunji get all that hair in the suit? They shaved Gunji to get him in the suit, didn't they? They did. That was Petro, not Gunji. Could you imagine Gunji wearing an Inquisitor outfit and it's just like, that was terrible. That was maybe my worst free look ever, but yeah. Stanley says 38-minute runtime. 35 was the last I heard, I'm afraid, says Dan the Man. Okay, so that's a little on the shorter side compared to what I thought, if that's true. And that's okay still. I think it'll probably tell the story that they need to in this episode. Hey, no worries, my dude. It has been a long time. Life is a busy thing, and there's been a lot going on in the channel in the last couple of months, so don't worry about it at all. I appreciate you for stopping in, Gunslingers, either way. And much love to you. He says, work keeps me boring, but I miss this place. How come I can't send a super sticker? Well, we did get demonetized, unfortunately, since the last time you were probably here. And it definitely isn't fun. We're not making any money on the channel. All proceeds currently will be going towards the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, especially during this Ahsoka kind of period. So it's no big deal. In the next couple of months, we should be able to reapply for all that stuff, for the super chats, for the memberships. All that should be coming back in the next couple of months here. But if you do want to donate and make sure, you know, your donation gets put towards SAG-AFTRA and the writers and actors that honestly need it right now during these strikes that are just ongoing and seem like there's no end in sight, there is a link in the description to our Streamlabs, or to our Streamlabs website, where you can go check out our merch or donate, and those proceeds again will be going towards SAG-AFTRA and the WGA strikes. What happened? It's a long story. It's not that long of a story, but it's a long story. It's definitely no fun. Just don't ever use anything Disney related on your streams. That's all I'll say. It was an accident. Episode 5 is 50 plus. Yeah, I did. Well, I don't know if it's 50 plus, but I did hear episode 5 is going to be a little bit longer, and that one is written and directed by Dave Filoni. Hey, go check out that merch. Yeah, the Vader. I definitely think our Vader Slayer merch on the Streamlabs website is pretty cool. So if you haven't checked that out, I'll throw in a link into the chat right now, actually, so you guys can do so if you please. And appreciate y'all. The mouse coming down hard. Yeah. It was definitely an unfortunate circumstance. I was trying to make the watch parties a little more fun. Threw up it doesn't matter. I was trying to make the watch parties more fun, and it turned up biting my butt. Can't believe that Dune 2 is delayed to next year due to the strike. Yeah, man, a lot of stuff is going to be delayed due to the strike, and I saw that coming a mile away. It's really unfortunate, and it does make... So thank you for bringing that up, because not that the SAG-AFTRA thing is good, but it did bring up things in my mind. So, real quick, a lot of things and a lot of projects, including the Star Wars projects that are coming up in the next year, are paused, are on hiatus because of this strike. And if you guys do want to learn more about the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, there is links in the description, so go check that out, go inform yourselves, go learn about it, because it is a really, really crappy situation on all ends, and it sucks, man. All of the content that's supposed to be coming out in the next couple of years is completely paused at the moment, and nothing is happening within the industry, and it's because the writers and actors need to get paid what they deserve and treated like humans doing the jobs that they're doing. Like, it's just a very, very bad situation for them. And most actors and writers and people in Hollywood are not the big name RDJs, you know what I mean? They're trying to get jobs and going gig to gig, doing what they can to get work and to get by. And a lot of times they can't find work, and especially during the strike right now, there's no work happening because they're not getting paid enough. They're getting replaced by artificial intelligence as we speak. Like, it's real bad, which is why all the proceeds right now are going towards those strikes and towards those causes, because it's something that I truly believe needs to be righted. It's a wrong that needs to be righted. The industry is slowly correcting itself from this. It's not good. It's not good stuff. Anthony YouTube fan says, "Hey man, I didn't know you were live. How did you enjoy the Ahsoka premiere? I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great promise for the future. Master Obi Dave Filoni is following Lucas's legacy well. May the Force be with you." Hey, Anthony YouTube fan, it is dope to see you in the chat, my dude. And oh man, did I enjoy those first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. As a Rebels sympathizer and lover and truther, I don't know what to call it. Rebels is the greatest thing ever. As someone that absolutely loves Star Wars Rebels, this show is everything that I could have hoped so far in the first 2 episodes, and I am so excited to see where the story goes. Yeah, Miss Marvel is coming out in November, so that's, again, thank you for reminding me. So there are projects that were already completed before the strikes or were in the works and had most of their principal photography and shooting done. Those projects are still coming out. And there's probably stuff that's coming out at least through the end of the year. But after that and going into next year, as long as these strikes continue, it's going to keep pushing our stuff and all the content that we're hoping to see in the next year further and further and further out. And one of those, a couple of those things that are potentially going to be getting pushed is Andor Season 2 in terms of Star Wars, and of course, Skeleton Crew, which is one that I wanted to talk about with you guys here in this stream. So, real quick to kind of cap it off and bring it full circle in the stream here, with this other galaxy that we're being introduced to. With the fact that Balin talked about how the Jedi or the younglings heard of these stories of the pathway to Peridia. This new concept that's being brought up. And so the pathway to Peridia clearly being the pathway to this other galaxy. The Jedi knowing of it or hearing tales of it at this time. Again, what if there's a Jedi Order or like Force sensitives out there that followed the Purgle or trusted in the Force, or some Jedi were even out in the galaxy exploring, like just exploring and trying to learn more about the Force. What if there's some Jedi or some people out there in this new galaxy who trusted the Purgle to take them to this new place, and they even created maybe their own order or started, expanded their own little order out there in the unknown, in this unknown galaxy, and the pathway to Peridia. I almost want to call this galaxy Peridia, but I think it's just the pathway to Peridia. I don't know if this galaxy is called that. But whatever this galaxy is called, there could be Jedi or Force sensitives there that have their own kind of order. And we know that the Skeleton Crew show that's supposed to come out at the end of this year or maybe the beginning of next year, the Skeleton Crew show is supposed to follow these children that are around the ages like 10 to 12-ish, that I believe are supposed to be Force sensitive. And yes, we don't really know what's going on with Jedi at this time. Like, Luke is starting up his order, as we know from Mando season 3. No, that was Book of Boba. From Book of Boba, we know that Luke is starting up his order. This should be around the same time that Ben Solo is starting to learn how to become a Jedi or choosing that path in life for himself as well. But what if there is like a group of children in this new galaxy, or that Ahsoka and Huyang or some people find in the Ahsoka show, that ends up kind of bringing in a new order, an order that's in this new galaxy that is kind of maybe even a classroom of students in the Skeleton Crew show that's Force sensitive and learning in this new galaxy, which the Skeleton Crew show is supposed to be kind of like a Goonies in space, or a Star Wars Goonies, I guess you could say. Which Goonies is a really fun movie, but there's some like kind of thriller kind of themes and vibes to it, and some kind of like darker tones at certain points. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the idea here with Skeleton Crew, is that these Force sensitive children, maybe they're even hanging with Huyang at this point, because who knows what's going to happen throughout the Ahsoka show. But these Force sensitive children are going to be going through space and kind of lost and trying to find their way. What if these kids followed the pathway to Peridia or something back in, I don't know, back in Revenge of the Sith, or before Order 66, who knows when, and they end up going to this new galaxy. Who knows, maybe time even works different there. Probably not, because Star Wars doesn't really work like that. But what if these kids like followed the pathway to Peridia and are in this new space, and that's why they're lost in space or in this new galaxy that's like really kind of like unknown to them. I don't know. It brings some questions to me though, and I feel like Skeleton Crew could be tied into all this new galaxy stuff and new ideas that are being brought up in Ahsoka. Michael says, "Hi, Vedas Lair, are you going to Disney Wish November 22nd? No, I don't believe that I am. I don't think so. I'm not sure what it is." Brandon Trent says, "Disney better not delay Bad Batch Season 3 because I heard Lucasfilm Animation Studios closed down in Singapore." That's different. So the Singapore location and portion of Lucasfilm Animation, I don't think they work on the projects that we know and love. Like, I don't think they're part of that. I think all of that stuff kind of happens in Northern California or in Southern California. So I don't think we have to worry too much about that. But The voice actors that work on your favorite projects like that, they're part of SAG-AFTRA. They should be. So they're in hiatus too. So it's possible if Bad Batch isn't finished or they needed some voice acting work to continue or pick back up to kind of finish season 3 after the strike kind of started, Bad Batch season 3 is definitely potentially on the delay block too. I'm hoping it's still coming out later this year. It's definitely possible with them working on it far in advance. But if they do need to reshoot a scene or redo kind of a vocal line, might not be possible. I'm going to wait for Star Wars Bad Batch Season 3. I can't wait for it when it does come out. I will say that. Ben is about 5 years old. He's not training yet. Exactly. It said it's around the time that he should be starting up his training, though. I think it'll happen in the next couple of years, canonically. Which, the whole Mandalorian timeline is such a headache anyway, as it is. Like, I don't know exactly when this is taking place. I'm pretty sure Ahsoka is supposed to take place like 10 years after Rebels, maybe 11, maybe 12. I don't know. We know that Jason Syndulla in the epilogue of Rebels is like a 9 to 11 years oldish, so I'd imagine it's been about that long since the original trilogy started to about 5-6-ish years since Return of the Jedi. No. Yep. Bad Batch could get delayed as well. That's what I'm saying, though. This strike is a really, really big deal. It is a really, 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 really big deal. And I hope that the corporations decide to pay and do what's right for their employees. Okay, Brandon Trent says, no, I read that one. Where am I? We're going to get out of here in the next couple minutes. So if you guys do want to throw in any last questions or predictions for episode 3 of Ahsoka, make sure to throw them into the chat. Oh no, I was wondering why the light died earlier. That is funny. Gotta duck out and finish up with the fam visit. Much love, Don. Thanks for hanging out with us. And wow, I am a lot brighter now. Whoo! Now there's a shadow behind me. All right. Where was I? Anthony, YouTube fan, says, is Vader's Lair, is this a case of where the show is very significant and important to the Mandoverse and Disney Plus, and having no actors to promote it is a detriment? I did see some like rough numbers, and who knows how accurate this is, of the first like 6 days of Ahsoka and how the show performed. And it looks like about 1.2 million households, not people, but households, tuned into the first 2 episodes in 6 days. So I think the show's doing all right. I think the show's doing pretty good. I think a lot of people are excited to see more of Ahsoka's story. I don't know if the actors not talking about it and with the strike going on, if that is going to potentially be a detriment to it, or potentially lead to lower numbers. But 1.2 million is pretty solid for, in a 6-day span for 2 episodes. That's pretty dang good. And I gotta say, I watched it myself like 5 times, and I watched it with my girlfriend, my brother, definitely trying to get my parents to watch it whenever I'm like, yo guys, Ahsoka came out. It's only been a week, but yeah, I think I don't think it'll be too much of a detriment. I think as the show starts to go and it gets better and better and better, as Dave Filoni stories do, I think by the end of season 1, if people aren't already watching it, they're going to dive in and start watching more. Gunslinger, thanks for buying a She's the Wise hoodie and 3 other merch. Yo, what else did you buy? Oh my goodness. He says, sorry I've not been around. I'm super pissed the big mouse nailed you. Dude, I appreciate the love, my man. Thank you, Gunslinger, for the support and for buying our merch. I don't know what else you bought. I gotta like look, but it says you purchased the Sheav the Wise hoodie and 3 other merch, bro. I appreciate the freaking hell out of you, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. I hope you enjoy the merch too. I know a couple people have already gotten some. I have a hoodie myself, and I love it. I know other people have loved it so far. Some of the champion stuff is pretty swaggy. So go check that out. Go check out our merch in the link in the description. And the YouTube fan says your eyes just got a lot bluer once the lights went on. Well, they are like a bluish gray, but yeah. The lights are on and my green screen has no light now. So there's like a giant dark sheaf behind me. I hope to see Anakin in Ahsoka next episode 3. I don't know if it'll be episode 3 that we see Anakin. For those that are kind of hoping about that, there is obviously a trailer that teases Hayden Christensen's return in the show. He was supposedly a part of it way back in the day, and people were even asking him at Star Wars Celebration back in 2022, like, yo, are you gonna be in Ahsoka? And a lot of us have been hoping for it. I think it makes a lot of sense with it being the Ahsoka show, continuation of her character who was Anakin's apprentice. Obviously, she's still super kind of shaken up, I would say, and kind of in a place where she's not sure on where her morals lie or where her opinion on the Jedi, it seems like, lie. Because when you think about it, the last time Ahsoka was like a Jedi, or the last interactions she had with the Jedi, well, first of all, Mace Windu was being a bunghole, as he does, and was calling her a citizen Tano. But they straight up didn't believe her when she was framed for bombing the Jedi Temple, and when she tried to prove her innocence, they didn't listen to her. So she kind of was like, y'all are stuck in your ways kind of thing. Screw you guys. Peace. I'm out of here. And it definitely kind of ruined her kind of relationship with the Jedi at the time, or how she viewed them. And definitely kind of dampered on Anakin as well. So it makes a lot of sense for Anakin to be in the show. I don't know if he would be in episode 3, but I will say there's 8 episodes this season. Episode 5 is directed by Dave Filoni. It's supposed to be a little bit of a longer one. Get hyped for episode 5 is what I'll say. I think that might be when it happens. That might be when it happens. Brandon Trent says, could Jason Syndulla, son of Hera and Kanan, show up in Ahsoka? Yes, I definitely think he could. In fact, it makes perfect sense for him to do. It's almost surprising in the first 2 episodes we haven't seen him yet, but we haven't seen the ghost yet. So, I don't know exactly what Hera is doing in terms of where he is. And maybe he's off on a mission with like Uncle Zeb or Callus or something. That would be really cool. But dude, yeah, I definitely think we're seeing Jason Syndulla in one of the trailers. It looks like somebody's in the passenger seat of the Ghost, and I think it's Jason. In one of the Lego promotionals, Jason's in there. I don't think he's gonna have the same green hair necessarily, but it's definitely possible we see Jason, and I think it'll happen before the season ends. This chat room is so civilized. Dr. Minotti, you already know. Dude, this space is the most hype Star Wars space in the lands. And I'm not trying to just toot my own horn here. We got so many awesome people in the chat and in this community that just love Star Wars and are hyped to see some Ahsoka. We're some big Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars fans. We are on the train and the hype for Ahsoka, so of course it's civilized in here. It is a beautiful, beautiful landscape to see all the civilized Star Wars fans. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to see some people that just love Star Wars, especially during this time, man. I see all the love in the space. I see the people that are hyped for Ahsoka, and it makes me happy as a Star Wars fan. I appreciate it though, Darth. Welcome into the chat. Stanley says, is that worldwide or US Canada? I'm trying to see what you was talking about there. Oh, let me see Stanley's. I don't know. I might be missing something. Gunslinger says, order submitted. I will now be drinking coffee while wearing your hat, t-shirt, and hoodie. Let's go, bro. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I hope you enjoy it. A lot of people like to post their merch when they get it into the Discord, so go check that out, and I'm hyped to see if you enjoy it and what merch you got. Even I'm hyped to see it. I did see the red hoodie it looked like, so excited for you, my dude. I appreciate it. Probably referring to the episode 1 ratings. Oh, well, I saw that the Rotten Tomato ratings were pretty dang high. And shout out to my boy Tim, because he's like showing me all the updates every time. It kept getting higher and higher. It's like somewhere in the 90%, I think. And Star Wars Rebels is still technically the top of the Star Wars leaderboard in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, but that's because technically on the leaderboard, Tales of the Jedi isn't there, and Tales of the Jedi has like a 99. So Tales of the Jedi and Rebels are like the two highest rated Star Wars anythings, and they're damn good. Stanley says, you said viewing figures, and I was wondering if that was worldwide or US and Canada. I gotta look that up for you. Let me see. X.com. Let me look. I gotta check. This shouldn't take too long for me to find, hopefully. I don't know. I don't see it yet. Oh god. I don't see it yet. Hold on. Ahsoka numbers. Like I said, they might not be accurate either. I was kind of just putting them out there to give an idea that I do think the show is doing pretty good. I think it's U.S. households, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to double check, though. The first episode of Ahsoka, titled Master and Apprentice, received lower ratings compared to the first episode of Kenobi. The ratings are on par for the first episode of Andor, both attracting 1.2 million households in their live first 5+ day ratings. So it seems like Ahsoka did about as much as Andor, but half as much as Kenobi. And I do think that these are U.S. households, but I'm not entirely sure about that. And again, who knows exactly how accurate these numbers are? They come from Samba TV. But 1.2 million is pretty solid. Again, that's on par with Andor, like 500,000 less than The Mandalorian, and about half as much as Kenobi. And yeah, I think that's U.S. households if I had to give you a guess. But I think that, again, as the show continues, and I think it's going to get better and better, I think more people will start tuning into it. And again, this is 1.2 million households. Let's just say 2 to 3 people per house, maybe 4. It's like 4 million people. Maybe 5. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty good. And plus, how many people do you think share Disney Plus accounts? You know what I mean? Like, I share it with the fam because it's the family. But I mean, there's people that share it with their friends and different things. So how many people do you think, this is just one household. Let's say it's like 4 or 5 people that watch it in that household. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Plus, again, with the strikes going on, a lot of people aren't even paying for their Disney Pluses right now. And the Disney numbers have declined for many number of reasons in the past year or so. So, yeah, Mando catches a lot of casuals. That first season was definitely special, bringing in a character like Baby Yoda that was kind of just a zeitgeist in a moment in history and in Star Wars media and in nerd media. So I'm not surprised Mando was 1.7 and then Kenobi being the Kenobi, and about him and Vader, having him and Vader involved, that obviously draws in as kind of almost a continuation or a sequel to Revenge of the Sith, one of the biggest Star Wars movies ever. Of course Kenobi did 2.4 million households. That's amazing. Alright, y'all, the hype is getting freaking real, though. We have less than 24 hours, 23 hours until Ahsoka Episode 3. I am definitely hyped, though. We're going to be talking some more about it tomorrow before the episode. We'll start up our stream probably at 4:30 or 5. Talk about it for an hour leading into the episode and watch along together. Episode 3. It's definitely going to be a blast. I'm going to try to work on my Marok video tonight and get that out there to you guys so you could get a little bit more detail on why I think Marok could be the canonized version of Galen Merrick Starkiller. But I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us today. I hope to see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe if you did enjoy. Make sure to smash that like button. And I appreciate y'all. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And may the Force be with you always. Much love. This chat room is so civilized.